Drivers Co-op Colorado. Do you feel like you let the fox into the hen house with this one? What if I told you there was a new rideshare company in New York City that didn't want to take 40 to 60% of your fares? Yep, that's right. You heard me. There is a new rideshare company called TADA, based out of Singapore, and they've set up shop in Long Island. You want to hear more about this? All right, let's get into this. So, as a side note, TADA means let's ride in Korean. Now, here's the interesting thing about this is they've quietly been using Colorado as a massive beta test for the last year. And now they're breaking into New York City as their own entity. They boast that they use and only charge a platform fee for their model, which is going to save drivers a whole lot of money. And that's so today we're going to break down this platform fee that they're boasting about and see if it really makes sense. Along with give you a little more background information on where TADA is going to be going. TADA has designated New York City as its primary U.S. anchor. They're currently working on getting their TLC operation approvals, and they already are recruiting staff and drivers. So TADA is only going to be taking a platform fee instead of taking a big percentage of it, that 40 to 60% that we all know that Uber and Lyft like to take from the drivers. They feel they can operate within a very small margin, working for the drivers, taking only that fee. So TADA's founder, Kay Wu, says they're not trying to outspend the big guys. They want to redirect the value back to the drivers. So time will tell whether this is true or not. Why did TADA pick New York, you might ask? Well, first off, the drivers are required to have commercial insurance in New York. So that's one less burden for TADA have to deal with that they will have to deal with in other states as they grow and expand. And so it'll be interesting to see how they decide to tackle this. But there's also a huge anti-robo-taxi movement that's going on, including Waymo losing their permits. Well, not losing them. The permits expired, but they didn't renew their permits. And so we'll have to see what happens there, but it does give them an opportunity to cozy up to the drivers' union that really has had a lot of influence in trying to keep Waymo out of New York City. So you might ask, when is TADA going to launch? Well, they got a lot of ground to cover yet, but they're quickly going through and meeting a lot of these deadlines and everything else on there. So they've decided that March 3rd was when they opened up their registrations, and they claim that they've already had 10,000 drivers sign up. Not 100, not 1,000, but 10,000 drivers have already signed up by April 14th. So they're moving really, really rapidly and quickly, and they're looking to do a May 1st soft launch. I'm not sure exactly what all that entails, but it'll probably be a little controlled. They've probably signed up a few other people already, and they'll start doing some rides based on that. And then by June 1st, they're looking to do a full-scale launch. So we're not even 2 months away from them going live and getting everything going with this, guys. So this is no joking matter. TADA has been very calculated in what they're doing, how they're going to do this, and they learned a whole lot with what was going on with their partnership, we'll call it, in Colorado. So bring these zero commission rides. This is a lot about what Empower was trying to do, but the difference is that TADA is actually going through and jumping through all the hoops with the TLC to get their authority. And Kay Wu, the founder of TADA, says that they've already received their base permits Not sure what that means because I don't live in New York and I haven't worked in New York, so I don't know what that means as a TLC. TLC is very similar to the TNCs, Transportation Network Company, that we see in other states, including Colorado. So we'll see what happens with that, but they seem to be going on the up and up with it, and kind of go from there and see what happens with it. Now, I mentioned earlier about their connection with Drivers Co-op. Let's talk about that a little bit. So, many of you in Colorado, including a lot of people who drive for Drivers Co-op Colorado, recognize this Drivers Co-op with TADA. Well, TADA spent the last year with an MOU with Drivers Co-op, not a traditional service contract, but an MOU. They refer to Drivers Co-op Colorado as their technology partner. Meanwhile, TADA has developed a new way to create a test platform and then build their infrastructure and refine different features specific to the US that are different from the market that they had in Southeast Asia that they've currently been operating in. So, Drivers Co-op Colorado, do you feel like you let the fox into the hen house with this one? Anyway, I kind of think you did, but we'll let time tell and see what happens with that relationship between TADA and Drivers Co-op Colorado, because TADA has expansion plans already within the U.S. They're looking at a whole lot of different areas that they're going to start growing into, including, so once they get done with New York, then they're going to move into New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and then go on the eastern seaboard. And then once they get over to the eastern seaboard, then they'll start making their way out west, is what they've declared in a lot of interviews and different statements that they've made within the media. So we'll see what happens with that. So how are they going to accomplish this? TADA's looking to raise $100 million to fund this expansion, and they've already got some investors that have signed up, while others are still continuing to evaluate it. Where are they going after this, you might ask? Well, after they get done with the U.S. expansion, while they're still expanding in the U.S., then they're going to look to go into Africa, and they're going to start over in Kenya and then expand from there. So they have a very aggressive goal of being into over 20 countries in the next 24 months. So it's going to be very aggressive. We'll see what happens if they make that goal. Right now, they're even hiring in New York City for a city manager and strategic operations intern. This is no joke, guys. They've been operating heavily within the Southeast Asia markets. They've done over 150 million global trips. This isn't a startup in somebody's garage, guys. This is a legitimate contender with a proven app that they built here in the United States. This is not a startup in somebody's garage, guys. This is a company that has built an app that's now a proven thing thanks to the Co-op Driver Colorado relationship with them. And now they're saying that they're going to treat drivers like assets instead of a liability. Will the fixed platform fee model work? Well, it sounds certainly more appealing than what Uber and Lyft have to offer, and any other platform that's telling you they're going to pay X percent, but then they end up watering it down by the time they get done with their insurance fees and everything else like that. So if they're only going to charge just a flat fee right up front, and even other drivers in other markets maybe carry their own commercial insurance, it'd be kind of an interesting model to see what happens with it. But if they can manage to overcome this, and Uber and Lyft and all the other rideshare companies, they got a serious problem that their marketing math can't fix. That's the bottom line with it. So I want to hear from you. If TADA launched in your city or state tomorrow with just that small fee that they're reporting they're only going to charge drivers and allow you to keep the rest of it, would you drive for them? Drop a comment below. And by the way, hit that like button, share the hell out of this, guys, because this is going to be a big game changer in the industry. They're doing things a little bit different. And again, they had a test bed already to be able to refine and figure out how to make this work. So like, subscribe, and follow, and hit that bell so you get notifications to find out what's going on with TADA as I follow this and dig in deeper on it.